Mitt, did you want to join us? I heard you making some noise in here. Steve, T-Rex, let's go. Your names are on the marquee. Whoa, easy, easy. T-Rex, easy. Some pretty serious discussions we have to have. It's Wednesday, August 20th, the heart of hurricane season. I have a very uneasy feeling. Not because I think we're going to get a hurricane, but what might happen well north of that hurricane today in New England. Everyone's talked about the big waves and the rip currents, but not too many seem to be talking about what's called a Predecessor Rainfall Event, PRE. So that's what I've been studying this morning. There was a tropical cyclone in Oklahoma in 2007 that resulted in flooding in Minnesota. Yeah, and its name was Erin. 62 degrees here at 8:30 a.m. with an ominous sky, a light breeze from the northeast. Planes are taking off toward the east. I have on my night noise canceling microphone so I can zoom in and you still hear me the same as when I zoom back out and pan around. Our friends, Luciano Excavating, Weymouth, Big Dig working. I heard them earlier. They were watering the concrete forms to help them cool, to help the concrete set up. The end more will feature the pouring of that concrete. And the rebar team hard at it again this morning, extending the potential the concourse. So it's chilly outside. We're on the cold side of a front. I'd like to start with the surface analysis in a little different perspective. I'm going to show southern New England at the top with the temperature and the dew point in the 50s. And then as you move west and south, the temperature and the dew point climb through the 60s until you get over about Pittsburgh, over to Washington, D.C., Ocean City, Maryland, where the dew point is in the 70s. That region with the dew point in the 70s is well ahead of Hurricane Erin. And we have several boundaries on the map, and they're not moving very much. They're kind of stationary at the surface, but the wind is going over the top of them. So we're going to have stalled frontogenesis happening over New England and maybe over the mid-Atlantic states. And that Predecessor Rainfall Event study I read this morning, which started off with Tropical Cyclone Erin and that flooding in Minnesota, record rains, talked about how these events can occur 600 miles poleward of the tropical cyclone. And tonight, when Erin goes by North Carolina, missing to the east by about 350 miles, it'll be about 570 miles south of Providence, Rhode Island. So we are within the 600-mile poleward region of a tropical cyclone, and we are getting a predecessor rainfall event. And there will be flooding somewhere between New York and Cape Cod, maybe southern New Hampshire, maybe Rhode Island, maybe Connecticut. That part is impossible to forecast. I think there should be a flood watch in effect for New England right now. The satellite image shows Hurricane Erin with sustained winds of around 100 miles an hour. It diminished to a Category 2. It's looking very symmetric, may go back to a Category 3 today. Then there's a gap, and then there's an arch of a cloud from Ohio to Maine. And that arch of a cloud that covers much of New England is where the predecessor rainfall event is going to occur. It's a wide cloud there, isn't it? And before I get to the rainfall amounts, potentially, and I'm going to show the NAM, it's a worst case scenario, so hopefully it doesn't verify, but it's also the tool we use the most. And this is kind of like a rainfall lottery, but it's not going to be little blotches. It's going to be one band or two bands of real heavy rain. We're not sure where. It's impossible to say where. What I want to show before that. Talk about the surf. I looked at the warm winds cam. It's hard to read there. It's kind of breezy there, but there's definitely a swell. And the Block Island buoy reports 8 feet, 14 seconds. That is a heavy-duty, powerful swell. So the rip currents are arriving in New England now. They arrived yesterday. Our friends at Nantucket Current. Jason, did you make these videos? Can you hold your camera sideways, please? But it was serious. The water was just coming up and slashing away at the beaches yesterday. And that's the nature of a long period swell. Erin is like someone dropping a mountain in the ocean, and the shock wave goes out. And then another mountain, and then another mountain, and the shock wave keeps going out. And the shock wave has arrived, the ocean wave, in New England. And even the Boston buoy right out there is reporting 2 feet 14 seconds. So it is rounding Cape Cod. I didn't look at cinnamon rainbows. If I go surfing, it would be in the sheltered areas in Massachusetts Bay, something like Green Harbor. You can get away with surfing when it's massive at Cape Cod and Nantucket. There's smaller breaks. I like the point breaks where you don't have to surf out through the paddle out through the breaker. So yeah, we'll be watching the surf, all it could be. We talked about that a lot yesterday, but I think we really need to focus on the Predecessor Rainfall Event. And it's also sailboat race day here, Twilight Series. You're going to race in the rain. I think the rain's going to be arriving, but let's go with the wind forecast, so it's pertinent both for the sailing and for what the storm is going to do. First, we'll start with today. This is the NAM for Long Island to eastern Massachusetts, looking at the wind from the east-northeast at generally 10 to 20 knots. And let's stop it there, strongest at the south coast, but that's kind of an offshore flow there. But the water does funnel into places like Long Island Sound. You're right, Bruce, that could be vulnerable to some flooding. Stop it at 7 p.m. And the wind over Boston Harbor looks like it's from the east, maybe east-northeast, 80 degrees or so, at about 14 knots is what the forecast is. So it's going to be quite breezy, and there's going to be rain coming in at that time. So it should be interesting. All right, so that's the race. Now let's just keep it going. As Erin approaches, the closest pass is going to be tomorrow night. Wow, so we're still 48 hours away from the storm, and then you see the blue starting to show up, and the purple. Now you're getting up to about 20 to 30 knots. And then once you see the red, now this is sustained wind in knots. Once you get to the red, that's 30 to 40 knots. So it looks like it maxes out there Friday morning from the northeast around 35 knots on Nantucket and at Monomoy. At that point, we're going to have 15-foot seas with 15-second periods. So major coastal erosion is going to happen in New England due to this storm, Erin, going offshore, and the fact that we're going into a new moon this weekend. Tides are running strong. And the wind is going to let up maybe in time for your sunset sail, Captain Peacock of the Lynx, on Friday. Still trying to get back to Nantucket. Now, Nantucket, the launch service in the harbor is being shut down. They're battening down the hatches in Nantucket for wind and coastal erosion and probably rain too. So the Lynx, not out of safety, but out of comfort, the Lynx tall ship is now at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute wharf in Woods Hole in Massachusetts. Much more comfortable for the crew. Not that it would have been unsafe on Nantucket, but no launch service and going up and down at the mooring. Much more comfortable there at Woods Hole. We may get a TK sighting at the Lynx. Thank you, Captain Peacock and crew, for the intel and for the invitation. All right, so now should we get to that rainfall forecast? Look at the radar real quick. This was early in the day. You can see just kind of a wave of water coming up over Pennsylvania and into New York and down into New England. And this rain is going to just sit there and stall with elements of very heavy rain, not showers, just pouring, hour after hour after hour when it develops. And hopefully it's only raining 1/10 of an inch an hour at your house instead of 3/10 of an inch an hour, which, okay, here's the QPF. This is the part where I feel like Mother Nature is a magician, having us all focus on the hurricane, yet coming at us from another direction, sleight of hand. These downpours, you get past blue is over a ½ inch. You get past purple. Now you're passing 2 inches. You start to get to yellow, and now you're getting to 4 inches. And then when it turns to mustard and gold, in excess of 6 inches in the gold shaded areas. this goes through Friday at 2 p.m. The rain will be done before that. The rain's going to end tomorrow afternoon. So in the next 36 hours, I'm not going to put the cursor over it, but I did it on the internet on X if you want to look at my files. It's going for 10 inches of rain in Beckett, Massachusetts, 4 inches of rain in Weymouth, 4 inches of rain in Wellfleet and Truro. I will take the under on this. I'll say we're going to get more like 3 to 6 inches of rain. Why there is no flood watch in New England, I don't know. Citizens Flood Watch. Boston Meteogram, just for the fun of it, because there is good news, shows not that bad there. This is the Euro for Boston. The Euro is probably about a third that much rain coming in today after about 4 o'clock and continuing through tonight into tomorrow morning. And then the sun tries to come back out. Temperature this afternoon is only going to be near 60 degrees, by the way. We're on the cold side of the front. The front's going to be stationary. That's one of the key factors of these predecessor rainfall events. Anyhow, the sun comes back on Friday, and the wind is ramped up, gusting probably about 30, 40 miles an hour in Boston Friday morning, and then it starts to let up, and then we're going to have a nice high-pressure system come in from Canada. Usually in the backside of these storms, it turns quite nice, and that is the forecast for Saturday and Sunday. In Boston, 70s to 80s, inland 80s to near 90 by Sunday before the next front comes in on Sunday night and Monday. And there could be some wild cards there again early next week, not so much from the tropics, but from a system. It looks like a tropical wave trying to come up a front next week. Hope I remember how to say that in the Euro. As for the tropics beyond Erin, which still may become a Category 3 again, I looked at some of the wave and observations over the mid-Atlantic states. You know, a lot of times when there's one of these tropical storms coming at you and it's going to miss, there's really dense fog, and that's not the case today. And nothing much happens. But without this dense fog, I think that the lean cold rule is going to send that real tropical type air over the top of our current cool air, and that's part of the predecessor rainfall event. Anyhow, it is dense fog over the mid-Atlantic states, and the buoys out there are reporting about 14-foot seas at about 16 seconds. So the damage is being done over the mid-Atlantic states. I guess that's my point. And then the storm is supposed to forecast to race east, not until Friday, though. And the other two systems coming off Africa, most of the guidance says don't worry about those. Those are going to stay out over the ocean. But we may have something closer, homegrown, next week coming up from the south here in New England. So let's go to the Euro now. And the Euro was the first about a week ago saying, watch out, there could be a serious wave on a front well north of any tropical cyclone. And the Euro now is least ambitious with this, but it gets credit for calling on it first, even though it lost it in the guidance. There it goes. And then there's Erin coming up, and here is New England with high pressure coming in on Friday. We'll stop it now, 11 a.m. on Friday. Yesterday it was 8 p.m. on Friday. And the guidance 2 weeks ago said we'd have a tropical cyclone near New England. Well, it's about 500 miles away at that point, about 952 millibar low, just about to exit. That's 11 a.m. on Friday. And here in the Northeast, we have high pressure coming at us. There's a front off to our west, and there's a broad trough over southern Canada. It's going to sweep air in from the southwest here, so that's a warm-up. Put this back in motion now, and the 570 thickness comes back on Saturday late into southwestern New England, flow from the southwest. Sunday now, the front looks slow enough that most of New England should have a nice Sunday. 80 at the coast, 90 inland, with shower and a thunderstorm activity coming in Sunday night and Monday. And here's the front next week that has a lot of cold in Canada, sort of almost tropical air on the east coast, and this front's going to stall. And now it looks like there wants to be a wave of low pressure coming up along the front. That would not be a tropical cyclone. That would be sort of an extratropical low coming up the front next week and causing some heavy rains in New England. I can't remember the exact timing on that. So we get out to the middle of next week, and we're getting the instability and chance of a shower or so, but a much cooler air, probably smoky air coming out of Canada. And then this goes out now to Friday, August 29th. And I don't remember exactly what's going on. It looks like our thickness is 552 to 558, so it'd be instability, almost fall-like or spring-like showers when you're cold up in the sky and warm down near the ground. And the trough would be lifting out, and there's no real hot air on there. And there's a can't remember if it was another tropical cyclone off of the southeastern United States, but any kind of tropical cyclones we're going to get next week are probably going to be the type that form between Florida and South Carolina. Something like that could happen again next week on the back of these high pressure systems. And we've been talking about this all along from more than a week ago, where we're talking about what to do with the backside of this cool high pressure system that came in here with lows in the 30s last couple of nights in Maine. And we said we always got to watch that. You throw in a tropical cyclone that's going to fuel moisture into it and energy into it, and the stakes are very high. And I'm not sure what we're going to do. So many things. I want to go to the Marshfield Fair today, but not in the rain. I want to go see the Lynx and the Lynx crew in Woods Hole, but I also want to make sure that our house is safe here from flooding. Yeah, I am concerned about flooding in the Boston area. All right, that was a long one. Thanks for bearing with me. A lot of time in the garden yesterday, and I still have not finished thinning out the tomatoes down there and putting them on the poles, because I can't get to the main stem because I just cut and cut and cut. And you can see all the cuttings right there. And look, soap on a string. Remember soap on a string when we were kids? That's going to be part of the Enmore, along with the pouring of the concrete. A big day yesterday, getting this concrete concluded down below our hill. And they're the rebar people. And so we'll be covering weather more than the big dig. May try and do some look lives for the Weather Channel. You want to look live from New England, Jim? All right. And more from yesterday. Oh, wait, one more thing. I forgot. Wow, look at that. Looks like it's raining up there already. This is a lot to do with dogs. I talk a lot about dogs and sundogs and such, and there's T-Rex. And our friend Sterling went up to Smuggler's Madonna, Smuggler's Notch there, that Peak Madonna, I think it is, Sterling Lake, with his new rescue, Snowflake, and his other dog, T-Rex, named by daughter Audrey, up there at Sterling Pond yesterday. Sterling Pond, right? All right, you walk across that when you want to ski from Stowe to Smuggler's Notch in the wintertime. And so we'll include that also in the and more. Thank you, Sterling. Nice to meet you, Snowflake. Handsome. How do you do that with the one ear, T-Rex? And more. Tuesday morning. And Tuesdays are good if you can get them. I hear some action, so I think it might be time for a time lapse. Time to untangle Steve. Steve, you're untangled. There goes Rex. All right, Steve, you're kind of free now. And what do we have going on down the hill? Tripod seems to be all ready to go. And concrete has arrived. Yes, time for a time lapse. Take a break, wait for the next concrete truck. Take care of the knotweed for us. Much appreciated. 11 a.m. Cuddle alert. Oh, they're not quite cuddling, but they're cute and cuddly. So there's a lot going on here. Look at this. This is how it starts. Innocent looking cumulus cloud or two. What is going on over there? The new guidance just came in. NEM is doubling down on the rainfall for tomorrow. I wonder if that's the seed being planted for a surface frontier. And I don't know where the next concrete truck is. Still waiting on that. And we've got the sailors at Wessagusset on this still pretty nice Tuesday. I've got my eye on you. New truckload of concrete and sailors in the background. Let's let this go for a while at 11 a.m. Getting kind of gray, a little chilly. Great working weather. Beep, beep. Hi. gray. How their sailors do. Looks like they're kind of cleaning out the plumbing of the pumper. They're probably putting the rest back into the truck. Is that happening? I'm sure it's the wrong temperature, so it'll be scrapped. I'm guessing, rather not just dumping it on the beach on the hill. I don't know the right answer. Anyhow, it looks like we've got frontogenesis happening. So much going on. Somehow these fronts can sense hurricanes. And I forgot to mention, a lot of times you get real dense fog ahead of hurricanes that miss New England. Is that happening somewhere? Did that happen last night or this morning? Now that I'm talking from yesterday's perspective, last night would have been Tuesday night. What do you see down there, T-Rex? Wanna go for a walk? More and more and more. There's something. What is it, Rex? Lots of smells. And just chopping down the knotweed again. I don't know what we're doing next. Editing. 4 o'clock, and those clouds that thickened up, even a little virga or precipitation showing up on the radar, have thinned out. But a lot of times, Mother Nature shows you a sign. Hello, Steve, next to the rock. Mitt on Steve's table. Mother Nature sometimes can show you a sign. So the fact that there was some precipitation coming out of the clouds on a line like that north of Boston today indicates to me that perhaps that's where the heaviest rain is going to set up again, or already has, from near Albany, New York to near Boston. Frontogenesis. Often you have several fronts, not just one warm front. And we've got the plains landing toward the east. Nice rich blue sky and subsidence though between the fronts and Erin way off to the south. There are a couple of more fronts. Trying to do less and more on weather this time. No more time lapses for today other than the full day from Cape Cod and Weymouth. And maybe a little bit of T-Rex playing with his toy. He still doesn't get the squeaker out of the toy yet. I was kind of surprised. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And more. They're looking a different way. T-Rex is looking a different way, but right down here, another tiniest of bunnies. Right in the peony. We got a bunny family in the peony.
So we got Snowflake here. We got T-Rex over there at top of Sterling Pond. T-Rex is enjoying the water, while Snowflake's exploring. Here, T-Rex, ready? So there goes T-Rex. And Snowflake just exploring. It's like, this is great. So Snowflake is a rescue, Tim, just like T-Rex. So you can guess who named Snowflake. It was Audrey again. But nice day up here at top of the mountain. Probably high 60s, I'd say. Water's nice and warm. What'd you say, T-Rex? Water warm? Water's warm, yeah. And Snowflake, what do you say? I'm not going back in the water. You tricked me last time. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I won't. All right.
Oh, almost just missed it. We definitely break for pooches on paddle boards. Oh, darn. There's a dog on the front of the paddleboard. Beautiful. Beautiful. Just in case it fades, getting a video now through the wires of another Sundog. Second day in a row. Blinded by the sun, dogs. Sundog south. Even better one, Sundog north. Brilliant. Refraction of sunlight off of ice crystals, day 2. And another dog. They're everywhere. Going swimming. And another cat. They're everywhere. Grooming. Wow. All the different texture. And another, or every minute the Sundog looks a little different. That one's a big one. Gorgeous. Are we playing it out yet with the full day time lapse? Just about, TK, just about. First we gotta put some soap on a string. Huh? Who remembers soap on a string? Was it Irish Spring? Soap on a string? Remember that when we were young? Anyhow, supposedly this keeps the deer away. Not that we've had too many deer since the great deforestation, which you just saw continued today here on the cliff. There's Steve. Hi, Steve. He knows his name. Come on over. We're playing it out now. There's a time lapse and some music going on. Very fascinating day. Watching the forecasts, watching Erin decrease in intensity. Contrary to forecast, weather is unpredictable. Here we are in Weymouth with our big dig, making more progress every single day. And another gorgeous sunset. And the plane's still taking off toward the east. And Bass River Beauty. Probably also sharing in the multi-layered clouds. Pretty chilly. Pretty chilly day. I think the Irish Spring is also repelling Steve. I don't blame you, Steve. I don't know who would actually want to smell like Irish Spring, but they do a great marketing job, don't they? And if they keep the deer away or whatever, I can save my tomatoes. I'll be grateful. I'll be grateful if the wind stays low enough here that I don't have to worry about wind damage for my tomatoes. All right, thanks for watching. Talk to you tomorrow.